Welcome, everybody, to the Genesis Mindset. And today is a very special episode because today actually marks the 1 year anniversary of the very first airdrop at Gwanak Mountain in South Korea. So that was when the tokens first started to be massively distributed through the airdrop. So today, I'm actually going to be covering a review of what BitMobick is and how it's different to Bitcoin, what actually makes it so special, and then all the achievements that it's had over the year since that first airdrop in Mount Gwanak, because there has actually been a lot of interest emerging around BitMobick. I'm starting to get a lot more people messaging me and asking me what it is and how it works and how to actually purchase it. So I also will go through that towards the end of the episode. But with that, let's get straight into it. So as always, nothing about my channel is financial advice. So this is the Genesis Mindset. It's just mindset for investing, trading, and life. It's not actually financial advice. It's just my personal opinion only. So today, the BitMobick 1 year airdrop anniversary. So we're going to do a year in review. So again, a review of everything in BitMobick, what makes it different to Bitcoin, what makes this day so special, and all the achievements of BitMobick over the year. So first of all, we're going to start with the fact that it was a fork of Bitcoin. So one of the core theses of the founder, Professor Oh Tae Min, is one, how money is obtained is more important than how it's used. Two, what people gain by investing time, effort, and material cost gives something a certain value that will be upheld by them. And three, it is better for the growth of an ecosystem to distribute large supplies to a few people rather than a small supply to many. And this core thesis that we've seen play out, this is the core thesis of the white paper. And point number three, especially, I've seen the evidence of that, where the people who received the original airdrops, the big founders of this network, are actually very, very interested in growing the network and supporting the ecosystem. And so this is something that has played out over time, and the evidence is just mounting up. And I will show you that evidence over time in this particular episode. The other thing is that BitMobick is very different because the community can actually impact society through the collaborative efforts of the community. This is something that makes it very unique to Bitcoin itself because it does have a differentiating point. At the moment, Bitcoin is really too big and in a way too decentralized. But the irony is it's not really all that decentralized because the mining is very centralized, the holders are very centralized, but nothing can actually be done because there's so many holders. So there's no sort of point of community where things can actually be done to support the world and actually make an impact on the world. At the moment, the overarching narrative with Bitcoin is that it is just a store of value. Not that it is just a store of value, but really what we see play out in the market now, especially with the ETF, is that it can be a place for people to actually store their value. And with big money flowing in, it is just that. It's not actually really impacting the world in any substantial way besides being a place that generates money for the holders and they can actually store their value there. So these are big things, don't get me wrong. But what I was always interested in with cryptocurrency is the impact it can have on the world, the social impact of actually enriching people's lives. And this is where I believe BitMobick is the key differentiating point between BitMobick and Bitcoin. So the white paper, I have got the white paper in the description below. I've put that on my website. I've also created a video for that, so you can check out the video. The white paper is very interesting. So first of all, there was the airdrop design. So this was formulated by the core thesis that I just covered before. That being that people spending time, energy, and effort actually gives something value in their mind. If they were to just get the airdrop received through, for example, MetaMask with no effort, it's really not something that people value a lot. They just look for opportunities to sell it. But if they've actually hiked up mountains, traveled around the world, gone to Australia or gone to Brisbane, for example, then they have a natural interest to want to support that token rather than just use it as a means of selling. The other massive innovation for this is the public goods. So the public goods is something where it is actually designed to benefit the ecosystem. So Professor Oh Tae Min has carefully thought out 4 sectors to help establish and grow the network. So you have 1 is the media, 2, global IT, 3 renewable energies, and 4 universities. So I'll cover these in a little bit more detail coming up, but again, I've covered them in great detail in past videos. And then the other major point about this is the founder himself. So Professor Oh Tae Min. So he actually has 0 tokens. So in the end, at the moment, we're in the distribution phase of actually setting up the ecosystem. So Professor Oh has a huge chunk of the token supply, but he's actually fully distributing that out through the public goods, through the airdrops. And once this is actually complete and it's actually been distributed out, the remaining tokens will be burnt and Mr. Oh will have 0 tokens. So the aim is to completely distribute everything by 2029. But at the moment, it really looks like things are tracking along a lot faster than anticipated. And it may end up being that the network distribution phase will end a lot sooner than January 2029. So this is something, again, that is a very important part. I cannot think of a single project where the founder actually doesn't have any tokens. So this speaks volume of his character. So who is this founder? So the founder, of course, is Oh Tae Min, Professor Oh Tae Min. So Professor Oh Tae Min is a professor of blockchain at Konkuk University. So he's studied commerce and economics of money, and he's basically studied Bitcoin since 2014. He's been a holder and an owner of Bitcoin. And on top of this, he is lectured continuously since 2014, and he's held and is very, very familiar with Bitcoin. And he's actually very much a celebrity. So with all the various books that he's written around Bitcoin, currently at the moment, he's doing a lot of interviews on TV programs and YouTubes. People really want to get to know what his ideas are, because he's really a thought leader on cryptocurrency, blockchain, and of course, Bitcoin itself. And so one of the things is that Mr. Oh proposed many Bitcoin improvements. He actually proposed a lot of ideas, but because it's so centralized, or rather too decentralized, but it's so decentralized, but the main forces are so centralized that he actually couldn't implement any of the changes that he wanted to talk about. So the game theory that he had, the ideas of actually improving the world with the use of blockchain, with the use of Bitcoin, weren't actually adopted by the ecosystem because there wasn't any way to actually make these votes or implement them. So he was very much outcast by them. So as a result, he forked Bitcoin to BitMobick due to basically being rejected by the community. So he's had very innovative ideas. He's had meetings with Vitalik Buterin, and he's pretty much recognized as a genius amongst the South Korean cryptocurrency community. And of course, obviously, he's South Korean. And this is one of the main reasons why I am very bullish on this, because I know the South Koreans have an extreme fervor for technology, and they're really world leaders in a lot of these sectors because of their fervor for technology. So because it was founded there, for me, this was the very first thing that attracted me to this particular network. And then Mr. Oh's humility, authenticity, and integrity has actually attracted many like-minded individuals. This is no accident. This is actually the way that the universe works. This is how energy actually works. Because of his mind, he attracts like-minded people to him. And this is very important. Again, he's not going to have even one single BitMobick, not even 0.00001 after it's completely distributed. He's not going to own a single BitMobick. So he is doing this as basically a way of showing the world what can be done with cryptocurrency and what can actually be, what benefits it can produce for the world. I think that is very, very telling on his character, and very, very bullish for the ecosystem itself, because there is no founders that are going to be dumping at any particular times. So today is the special day because it's the 1-year anniversary of the airdrop. So the very first airdrop occurred at Mount Gwanak. So that's Korean. So Gwanak Sun. So sun is mountain. That was the very first airdrop. And as I mentioned before, the whole point of airdrops is these airdrops was people actually had to put time and effort and even cost to actually go to these places. They would sacrifice their time. They would sacrifice their money. They would go to Jeju Island, different places throughout Korea. And they followed Mr. Oh to receive these airdrops. So they traveled around Korea all the way to USA and ended up in Brisbane, Australia. So they went to Sydney and then ended up in Brisbane, Australia. So this is where I actually got to know the project first and foremost. And this is actually a lecture hall in a university in Brisbane. So I actually attended this, and I had Robin there translating for me because everything obviously was in Korean. So the other very exciting thing is that he actually may be returning to Brisbane in July. So he mentioned this in his latest live stream over the weekend. So I'm very much hoping that I can get to meet Mr. Oh personally, because I didn't actually get to meet him last time, and I would love to shake his hand and thank him for the hard work that he's actually putting in, because he's actually working extremely hard. So let's actually see some of the things that have actually happened over the year. So first, the airdrop distribution is now complete. So obviously from the first airdrop up until now, it's complete. It was completed basically in Brisbane I think it was around July when I first received. I don't remember the exact dates off the top of my head, but that's when the airdrop distribution. So that was a major phase of the token distribution. So once it was forked, there was this huge supply of tokens, and then it actually had to be distributed. So those tokens, when it was forked, you have all the existing Bitcoin whales who have tokens. If they choose to claim them, they can claim them. I'll show people how to do that towards the end of the episode. And then he also sped up the mining rate for a certain period of time so he could mine more tokens so he could actually use it for the public goods. So as I mentioned before, the public goods is the media. So we had those 4 sectors. So from the media, they have actually partnered with JTBC, which is one of the big 5 media companies in South Korea. So this was a major event, and it caused a huge spike in the price. JTBC received a huge supply of the tokens. They didn't have to pay for it. They just got it for free. And now they can actually use the tokens at their discretion in order to benefit themselves and benefit the network. Each one of these 4 sectors that have been chosen and how they're using the coins is chosen to be a synergistic effect. So there has to be the growth between the ecosystem and support of the network, and also in benefit to who they're actually giving it to. So for example, the media companies, if you really think about it, the airdrop was kind of like a real life Squid Games, but nobody died, right? So Squid Games is a massively popular TV show that was on Netflix. Now, South Koreans, they can do something with JTBC. They could do like a game show where you could actually win BitMobick by the end of it. Or maybe they could do like advertisements where you have to actually watch the show. And if you watch it and you scan the QR code, you can earn 1 BitMobick. So this will generate them advertising revenue. It will get them attention. So there's that synergistic effect between growing the network, getting the word out, getting that social integrity up, and actually improving the growth of JTBC as well in their profits without actually having to sell any tokens. So it's really this beautiful harmony between marketing and growth. Then there's the global IT companies. So at the moment, they have approached various different IT companies. Obviously, one of the biggest ones is Samsung in South Korea, and they're really hoping to attract Samsung, but I think it's not really working out at the moment, but they are actually trying to show these big global IT companies what they can actually do. A lot of these global IT companies, they don't really need BitMobick. It's really this, I mean, it's very, very viral in South Korea, but they don't really need big cryptocurrencies. They don't need BitMobick. So we actually are aiming to prove the worth to them by doing various marketing campaigns. So one of the marketing campaigns, for example, was Ray-Bans, where they basically went to a Ray-Ban store and said, we're going to give an airdrop. We're going to give a paper wallet to everybody who comes and purchases a set of sunglasses, and the whole store sold out of these Ray-Bans. They're planning to do the same with mobile phones. So if they can do this and prove to Samsung that, hey, with this, you can actually boost your sales by actually where you don't actually, there's no cost to you. You're getting the BitMobick and you can actually use it for marketing. So it gets you the eyeballs and it gets us the network expansion and the adoption, which is very, very powerful. But at the minute, no global IT companies. Renewable energy, this one as well, there hasn't been much progress in that. One of the main things about this is actually having renewable energy companies utilize the power grid that they have in off-peak times to mine the BitMobick. So they'll actually be receiving mining rights. So this is something where I'm sure there has been discussions, but I don't personally know of any news. So from as far as I know, there hasn't been much progress. So I shouldn't say not much. So really, yes, not much progress. Then the universities. So they have actually at the minute partnered with one of the top 5 universities in South Korea, and they are in talks with one of the top 2 universities. So by partnering with them, they're hoping to establish funding for those particular universities. So they're going to give them BitMobick, which they can use. They're going to give them mining rights as well, rather, which they can use to help them fund research. And they're also going to help them establish BitMobick ecosystems within the university where people can trade and sell and basically purchase goods within the university. So creating an economic system within the university. And I really love this idea because universities is the future. They are the future. This is the perfect generation to actually attract into cryptocurrency. And so I really love this idea. Now, councils. So there's been a council that's formed. So 50 extremely bright minds basically passed a test to form a council. So this was an idea by Mr. Oh, where they had to pass a series of really hardcore tests. They had to be really familiar with his reading and blockchain and Bitcoin. And they're really essentially like a think tank for BitMobick. So as a think tank, they're actually trying to help adoption with the cryptocurrency by thinking of different ways to actually expand the network. Part of that as well, there has actually been sub-councils which have actually formed throughout Korea, and these are also collaborating to help expand the network. So there's been a council that's formed in Busan, and there's councils that are forming around the different Mobickers cafes, which I will show coming up. So this grassroots movement, it's not just something that's happening online, it's actually physically happening. And this is really important that people are actually meeting, physically connecting as human to human. And then in that same energy, they're actually going out into the world and actually making an impact in the world. There's also a degree that's coming up in one of the universities in the middle of the, well, actually just in a few weeks' time, I believe, where essentially to be eligible to participate in this university degree, you actually need to be essentially an elite of society. So you need to have a certain net worth. You need to have a certain position in society, like an owner of a very successful business or in the media or something along these lines. And that it's very strict to get into this. So it's going to be very limited to the very elite people of South Korea. The beauty of this is really going to strengthen the core of the BitMobick network because these are going to be people that are going to be connecting through this degree and through this physical connection and this physical interaction. Again, they're going to expand out the network through their own networks. Obviously, when they're very successful, they have very successful businesses and very successful people that they also know that they can expand the network out. So this strategy of continuously growing the network it's probably the most powerful strategies implemented in any network that I've ever seen in any cryptocurrency in terms of expanding the network and growing the network. I haven't seen it to this degree. I haven't seen it to this level of power. Mobickers cafes. So this picture again, so this is Mr. Oh right in the middle. I'm not sure if you can see my mouse or not, but Mr. Oh is sitting on the couch between this very attractive Korean woman and this handsome young Korean man. So Mr. Oh is right in the middle there with the lovely tie. So that's Mr. Oh, that's Professor Oh. So this network of Mobickers cafes is actually expanding. So this was one of the first ones, and it's just stunning. It's such a beautiful place. When I saw it as an architect, I fell in love straight away. The materiality, the design, everything about it is just beautiful. And this is a place where Mobickers can come, they can get some coffee, they can basically communicate with each other, share meals, they can expand and develop ideas. So this is brewing more think tank ideas. So all these community initiatives are actually forming through these Mobickers cafes. And so at the moment, there's 3 with another 2 planned, I believe. So they're continuously expanding. And there's potentially going to be cafes in Australia in the near future as well. So this is something that the head of the Mobickers Oceania has actually spoken to me about. So I've got my fingers crossed as an architect that I've already said, hey, I'll be more than willing to do this. I would love to do this. I would be honored to do this because it would be a huge blessing. So again, people are gathering physically. So at the moment, we have crypto Twitter and YouTube and crypto Twitter spaces where people really communicate with each other about cryptocurrency. But there's something about the power of physical connection and physically being together. And then from there, that physical energy expresses itself as more physical energy where they actually go out to the world and actually impact the world through these various initiatives that they've actually created and come up with. So here's some more pictures of the Mobickers Cafe. So as you can see, I mean, just beautiful, like really modern, simple, but like the rugs, the different materiality, I mean, I could architecture nerd on this, but I don't think many people would be interested in this. But as an architect, honestly, these are like on point. These are absolutely spectacular. Like this completely resonates with everything about my architectural sensibilities. So I absolutely love it. So well done to whoever designed those. So now those community efforts. One of the biggest community efforts and one of the most interesting ones is the Mobickers babies, the baby Mobickers, which is the Todak Todak program. So I'm actually going to leave a link here up the top, hopefully, to the video for the Todak Todak YouTube. So basically, Todak Todak essentially in Korean just means like pat, pat. So, you know, when you have a little baby and you pat them on the back, it's Todak Todak. So this program was created and thought up because in South Korea, they have an extremely low rate of new births. And also they have the highest rate of suicides in high school students in the world. So they have a crisis with basically their demographic capacity at the minute. It's really a crisis. So this initiative hopefully incentivizes parents to have new babies. Obviously, at the moment, cost of living is going up. Parents are basically both parents are working to support each other. The time to work is actually taking away their desire for children. So this incentive is hopefully going to incentivize more people to have babies. But not only that, these babies are actually representing the future of the network. So at the different segments of age demographics in society, this network is actually infiltrating. So we have those elites with this new degree coming up. We have all those 4 sectors with the university is in the middle with people in their 20s and 30s and late teens. And then you've got the baby Mobickers. So through the different demographics of society, the BitMobick is entering into their consciousness. So from birth, they are Mobickers from birth. So that is a very interesting and brilliant idea, in my opinion. And so there's various other community efforts where I've shown in previous videos that BitMobickers are actually using BitMobick funds to help those in need. So they've actually started to find different programs that they want to support. Orphanages have been one, for example, where they're actually going out to these orphanages and supporting them with BitMobick. So these are just some of the ideas that people are coming together to create. People with their good hearts and through the power of human connection are actually wanting to make a difference in the world. Also, from the whales that I've spoken to, they're very interested in this being a legacy. They're very interested in creating an impact on the world. They are not at all interested in profit whatsoever. They are really, really not interested. And this, I believe, comes from the source, the very core of the project, which is Mr. Oh, because he's not going to own a single token. He's always emphasized from the very beginning, don't worry about the price, just keep holding it and let's make a difference in the world. And this is something that's really disseminated throughout the whole ecosystem. So there's a lot of plans as well in the future to impact third world countries and really do what cryptocurrency was invented for, to actually make the world a better place, not just to enrich certain people, but actually make the world a better place. What can we actually use this money for to make the world a better place? How can we actually create something that makes the world a much fairer place for everybody? And then, of course, there was the launch of Mobick Mania. So prior to this, BitMobick was all traded peer-to-peer. So now, through the efforts of the community, they have an app in South Korea that is fully 100% traded through this app. So now the price. So the price over the years. So it's a fully peer-to-peer. It was fully peer-to-peer traded until Mobick Mania came out a few months ago. So once Mobick Mania came out, then in South Korea, the trading was done through the app. There are plans in the future. To launch this on decentralized exchanges and centralized exchanges, but at the moment, it is simply done through peer-to-peer and through Mobick Mania. This is to avoid any issues with securities laws, and at the moment as well, there is no tax on the cryptocurrency because it's essentially like trading baseball cards. So this is also something that's very deliberate. It does make it difficult to purchase. It does make it difficult to actually get your hands on outside of Korea, but if you're outside of Korea and you're hearing this video, it means what? That you're very, very early. If it's viral in South Korea and it's starting to really disseminate out into the rest of the world with people like myself and the Mobickers Oceania really starting to sprout up the ideas, it's only going to continue to grow. You really have to keep that in mind. When I started talking about this months and months ago with all my friends, the price was all the way down here. So I'm going to show two charts. So this is an old chart that goes up to basically the middle of September. Hey, one day before my birthday, the middle of September 2023. And it peaked at around 250,000 Korean won. So essentially it started from nothing. It started from nothing, man, like at zero, and then it started to get traded. And because of the limited supply and the fact that people really don't want to sell and the difficulty of selling, the price has really gone through the roof. So through these events, which was very interesting, after the airdrop finished, I think, well, me personally, I expected that there would probably be a massive dip. But instead of there being a dip, there ended up being a huge spike in price. So the price did a 5x. So I was telling my friends around here about this project. No one was interested. Nobody wanted to know. Again, people are only interested in the results. What makes this project unique? Everybody was asking me, like, why is it different to Bitcoin? And for me, what actually made it different to Bitcoin was the energy that I felt when I actually went to these places. That's the most important thing. And that's why when I look at Mobickers Cafe, the councils that are forming, the sub-councils, and basically these meet and greets all the time, it's the energy of the interaction that actually happens in those places, that vibration that you feel around people with the enthusiasm, the passion, and their willingness to actually want to help the world and create a better world. That's what made me bullish on it. And the fact that they're South Korean. Honestly speaking, I found out about this project through one of my meditation friends. And this meditation that I do actually originated in South Korea. So that's how I actually found out about this particular project. And because I found out about it through a meditation friend, I thought, this is really the universe showing me something to pay attention to. Then when I went there at that airdrop and I actually witnessed the power and the energy of the people there, I became extremely bullish. And South Koreans, again, like I said, their fervor for technology is really second to none. They really top the world in a lot of these kinds of industries for such a small country. They're really crazy for these sorts of things. They're crazy for anything to do with the future of advancement and technology. So this was really one of the key points of my thesis around holding BTCMobick, is that I love Koreans, and I think out of any culture, like really they can help something like this grow. And boy, have they ever helped it grow. So if we look here, so now this was the price. And now where is it? So September. So this was around here, right? So this was the peak. So that last chart stopped around here. Again, I don't know if you can see my mouse or not. I'm not too sure. Here we go. I wonder if I can draw here. So the last chart would have stopped around about here. Okay. So it stopped around here. Now it continued to dip. But it created a very solid bottom. So the sell pressure really diminished as it was going down, and it created a solid bottom. Look at these beautiful lines, nice and straight. Then there was the JTBC announcement, and this caused a huge spike in price, huge spike all the way up to its all-time high of around 365,000 Korean won. Then it had a dip. Now it's stabilized, and now it's head up to around about here. So now it's actually sitting at around 280,000 Korean won, which is 320 Australian dollars. So we're really seeing, again, the same formation that we saw here. So we're seeing this kind of divergence here of price. And once it creates this bottom, then it shoots off. So it might have another dip down and kind of dip down here and then shoot off again. Who knows? This is like a bullish flag. So this is a very interesting pattern. The sellers are getting exhausted. And again, when I talk to the whales, when I talk to some of the biggest whales, they don't want to sell. They're not interested in selling. They only want to accumulate. Now we have the conditions coming up with Bitcoin going through a bull market. People actually hold Bitcoin, can cycle their Bitcoin and trade that for BTCMobick. It's a very exciting time, and it's very, very, very close to flipping. I think it's Bitcoin Cash, which is the second largest Bitcoin fork. So there's Bitcoin, and then I think it's Bitcoin Cash, and I think Bitcoin Cash is above the $400 mark, and obviously at 320 Australian dollars, I believe that's around maybe 200 to 250 US dollars. So very exciting future ahead. This is 1 year into it. And again, I'm looking at the network. I'm looking at the energy. I'm looking at the growth. I'm looking at the expansion. I'm looking at the founder. I'm looking at all these categories. And you can hear it in my voice. I'm so excited. I'm so passionate. For me, it's just the truth. It's really like, this is going to happen. I don't know how crazy it's going to get, but I do believe this is actually going to happen and it's going to go ballistic. Now, how to actually buy BTCMobick. So first of all, as I mentioned, this is a fork of Bitcoin. So you might already actually have some. So if you own Bitcoin and you didn't store it on a centralized exchange, if you download the BTCMobick app and you plug in your, I believe if you just plug in your wallet address through the BTCMobick app, and you can actually go to my YouTube, maybe if I can link it up here, I might have overshared too many videos, but just look through my YouTube channel, look for BTCMobick mobile wallet app. And when you download that app and you plug your public wallet into there, you should be able to claim the equivalent in BTCMobick. So if you had 1 Bitcoin, then you'll be able to claim 1 BTCMobick. So this is something that you need to do before that opportunity actually expires in January of 2029. It might actually expire sooner once the network's actually fully distributed and complete. Then, of course, at the moment, unfortunately, and or fortunately, I choose to look at this positively. It's fully peer-to-peer outside of South Korea. So as I mentioned before, there's Mobick Mania. Prior to that, so actually, let's look at this again. So, oops. Mobick Mania only came out about, I'm not 100% sure on the date. I think it was in around December. So it kind of came out around this area here, right? So since then, it hasn't really been massively sold off. People are still accumulating. It's going, well, I guess you could say it's kind of going sideways at the moment, but people aren't really dumping it. So the ease with which they can now sell it, but people still have that belief. They're also feeling the same things that I'm feeling towards this project. Okay, so outside of Korea, it's fully peer-to-peer. So if you're in Australia or the USA, I can actually, if you just reach out to me, you can reach out to me in the comments, but it's probably preferable if you reach out to me in on Twitter. And actually, I might even leave my email here. So I've got a website. You can connect with me on the website as well. I'm going to leave my email below. You can email me if you're interested in buying it. Don't message me on Telegram. I just don't like DMs on Telegram. So you can message me here on Twitter or you can email me. And basically, I can connect you with the seller in Australia, and you can. It's essentially peer-to-peer. So basically, you're sending US dollars to their Australian dollars to their bank account, and then they'll give it to you. Same as in America, you can do it with US dollars, and I connect you with the US seller, or they also do selected cryptocurrencies. So there was somebody who purchased from Europe the other day, and they purchased with Bitcoin. So you can actually do it with selected cryptocurrencies. So pretty much your major ones, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and then the US stable coins for the US seller. But otherwise, preferably just bank. So I also did a video last week that there was a projection for $10,000 by 2025. So at the moment, this is in Australian dollars. At the moment, it's 320. So if we look at how bullish things are looking in cryptocurrency in general, everybody's feeling very bullish. Now, you take those predictions with a grain of salt because predictions are just predictions. They are just that. I would be extremely happy with anything above $500. It's already well exceeded my expectations, and actually it's already well exceeded Mr. Or's expectations as well, which is really why he wants to finish distributing all the tokens as soon as possible. There's also some thinking around parts of the community that believe it will flip Bitcoin. Me personally, I don't actually think it will flip Bitcoin, but I do believe that it is going to flip Bitcoin Cash, and I do believe it's going to be the best fork of Bitcoin. On top of that, I can say there is a potential for it to flip Bitcoin in many years' time. I'm talking like 10 to 20 years' time. If we see Bitcoin start to stagnate and the effects of the ETF having a negative impact in the end on suppressing price and just becoming a thing that algorithms trade back and forth with, then I could say potentially something like BTCMobick could flip Bitcoin. But I do think Bitcoin is forever going to be the #1 big daddy. I think it's got that narrative. I think it's too far ahead. But really, who knows? It's a very interesting time ahead. On top of that, So there will come a point where buying it will be a lot easier outside of South Korea, but also Mobickers Oceania. I mean, you can have these things with, you can have paper wallets. So there's these paper wallets. Love these paper wallets where you can store your BitMobick and all your forks of Bitcoin. So there's all these different designs of paper wallets, and they're all, as you can see, just gorgeous. They're all for different anniversaries. You can give for gifts. So this one here is congratulations. So you can give this as a gift for like a wedding, for example. So I intend on sending some of these to my brothers and a couple of friends, just as a thank you for supporting me over the years. And here's another one, baby's first birthday. So I'm going to send one of these to my to my one and only nephew, who, yes, I absolutely adore him. So I'll be sending him one BitMobick as well. So, and I have actually sent him various other tokens like Pulse Chain and Hex. So he's a little whale already. So, and then check this one out. So this is God mode. This is the God mode paper wallet. So this is actually the 1 year anniversary of the Genesis block. So when BitMobick was first forked, this is the 1 year anniversary paper wallet. So beautiful paper wallet. So all these paper wallets are actually collectibles as well. So these are collectibles which people are really holding on to, and they have values themselves. So this paper wallet itself will actually be the ticket that is used to actually get to the event today, the 1 year anniversary event today at Mount Gwanak. So I hope I pronounced that correctly. So this is like a ticket, and it's going to be a ticket for future events as well. So the paper wallets themselves have extreme value, and it's something that we will be selling eventually, Mobickers Oceania, in the future. So we're just getting all of that set up. So that will be something that's going to be happening within this year. So very exciting times for BitMobick. So with that, thank you very much, everybody. So I hope you enjoyed that particular episode. And as always, I will finish on a quick book reading. So this particular book, I thought I would choose a South Korean author. So this is called Book of Wisdom by Teacher Young. So this is the founder of the meditation that I do. And I wanted to pick this particular section of a passage. So this particular passage was actually called My Name. So it's about his life. And this particular part, I'm just going to read a small part, and it's about money. And so I really want to talk about this in the context of what BitMobick is trying to do for the world. And so he says, I too was born with nothing, and I tried my best to live as other people do. This blasted world of money. In it, one is a fool without it. And without it, he cannot do anything. It is dumbfounding. Money is that which bruises people's hearts. I worked hard, twice as hard as other people. I really worked hard. What I wanted was to live like a human being should, a life of calmness and peace. Those who flattered government officials and those who used government money could spend money. People without power could not see a penny. How many people who were too poor to go to the hospital died in their homes? The rich may be happy taking advantage of the less fortunate, but they leave heartache in their wake. Man, I get so emotional reading some of these passages. It really puts me there. The power of his heart really puts me there. And he grew up in a time in South Korea where it was poverty stricken. He grew up through the Korean Civil War, and he grew up in a time where people were taken advantage of, and this has not stopped. And this is what's actually birthed cryptocurrency, that the people who hold all the money hold all the power, and they can do whatever they want. They can get away with whatever they want. Now, with the birth of cryptocurrency, there is hope. There is hope for a new financial system. There is hope for a better world, a more fair world, a more just world for everybody. And this is the number one reason why I became passionate about cryptocurrency. I didn't care about money before that because I never thought that I had any hope to actually have an impact on the world until I discovered cryptocurrency, until I discovered my purpose of actually helping the world, making the world a better place. And this is why I've been very attracted to BitMobick. I've been very attracted to Professor Oh, Mr. Oh Tae Min. My heart really goes out to all of his efforts, and I thank him so much. And I thank the universe, I thank God, Allah, Buddha, whatever you want to call it, for actually placing me in this opportunity where I can actually share this with you. I feel very blessed to share this with you. I feel very blessed that I'm part of this ecosystem that is making an impact on the world and that will continue to make an impact on the world. Will it be the thing that actually turns into the currency of the future? Honestly speaking, I don't think so. I don't think any one individual cryptocurrency is going to be what the future of currency is going to be. But what I do believe, all these different cryptocurrencies are going to reveal a way forward. once the power of artificial intelligence really matures, the power of the metaverse really matures, and the power of cryptocurrency mature, once these things all come together and coalesce, then a new financial system will, in my opinion, be birthed from all of these combined forces. Then the world will be ready for world peace, because the consciousness will also be getting upgraded throughout that whole process, as it is through the process at the moment of discarding one's life lived through meditation. So with that, thank you very much. And thank you very much. Happy 1 year anniversary, and bless all of you BitMobickers. Thank you for all of your generosity. All of my BitMobickers come from donations and through the airdrops. I didn't get massive airdrops. I got very small airdrops, but I was very happy that I got whatever I have. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for being so welcoming and warm to me in this community. And here's to many, many more years to come. So thank you very much and take care.